Hiya pals, hope your day's going well and you're having a very good week so far. I've done my back in, an absolute beauty. I am in agony, hence why I've really not done myself up today, because I just don't want to. I'm having a wee day feeling sorry for myself. Sitting, standing, walking, lying down, all of it's painful right now. Slathered on the deep heat and having a wee day feeling sorry for myself. And I've just realised I spilled water all over my jumper. Can this day get any better? Ow! Apparently not. But alas, archaeology stops for no lassie with a bad back, because recently there's been a very big archaeological discovery which I want to do a little reaction to. This time it is legit. We are not having a repeat of the unicorn skull, and it's the skull of the Dragon Man. Of course, now I am an official archaeology graduate. Hold on, look what arrived in the post. I'm an official university graduate. I have a right to wear this hat, and I have a right to give my opinion on archaeological subjects, thank you very much. I bought this, by the way, this is mine forever. However, I am not an official osteoarchaeologist. I do know the basics of human skeletal remains and stuff, but I'm not an expert. But I know enough to give my opinion. It's actually a very big and exciting thing for archaeology for once, so I would like to give my opinion on it, even though no one asked. Let me take this hat off now. I've had enough of the hat. So I found an article for us to read through together. It is from the BBC. Say what you want about the BBC. So we're going to read through that together. I'll give my basic reactions and whatnot. My back is killing me. I can barely think. We're having a nice chill one today that doesn't require much brain power from me or much movement, because I really don't want to stress my back out. So without further ado, let's take a look at this article and see what he's all about, eh? Wasn't that swift. Scientists hail stunning Dragon Man discovery by Palabgosh on BBC News. Yeah, this did come out 4 days ago. I thought I'd leave it because I've been hearing a lot of buzz about the Dragon Man, and there's also another recent discovery, I think from Israel or somewhere, and I've been trying to just let the buzz build a little bit before I did a reaction, because there wasn't much information to go off, but now there is hopefully enough for me to actually make something out of it. I don't know, I've not read this yet. Who knows? Might be an absolute load of nothing. Chinese researchers have unveiled an ancient skull that could belong to a completely new species of human. This is very interesting to me. When I was taught like the theory of evolution and that, the teacher who taught it, being an older man who was kind of set in his ways, he taught it in a way that was very much, although evolution is a theory, he taught it in a way that was like, we go from this to this to this to this, then you got early modern humans, that's it. And I guess that's been the lineage for so long that it's like, yeah, okay, so there's nothing else really there. But obviously I love when things like this surface and just absolutely blow whole evolutionary scales out of the water. It's kind of a running theme in all archaeology. There's a lot of old archaeologists out there who are very set in their ways, and they don't really push the boat out with their ideas and stuff. They're like, we have evidence for this, so logically this tells us that this happened, whatever the situation might be. And I think it's the job of myself and other young archaeologists to be like, well, what if something did turn up? Because that's the beauty of archaeology. Yes, we know all these certain things happen. For example, humans evolved in a certain way to reach us today, but then you could dig up something tomorrow that completely changes that entire theory, and that's exactly what's happened here. They found a new skull that could possibly change the entire way that we think about our own evolution, and that is really cool. Nicknamed Dragon Man, the specimen represents a human group that lived in East Asia at least 146,000 years ago. I like how they've nicknamed him Dragon Man. I don't know why they picked dragon, maybe it'll say later on in the article, but one of the main things with ethics of archaeology is like important skulls like this, or bog bodies or mummies or something. There's this kind of argument of should you give it a new name after you've dug it up, because most of the time when you find these remains they don't have like a bit of paper that says my name was this in life. Sometimes they do, but the majority of the time you just find bits. So I like how they've not been like, this is Ian, the Dragon Man. They've just called him Dragon Man, which is a lot better. I mean, there's no way for us to know his name in life anyway. It's just a bit nicer. Like, what if his ghost was to come down from the sky and be like, hey, my name wasn't Dragon, my name was Derek. That's not my name! When it comes to skeletal remains and stuff, people tend to forget, even archaeologists tend to forget, these are literally people's family members. Like, if you go back in time enough, they're going to be related to somebody that's alive today, and it's like, would you really want them disrespecting your great granddad? I certainly wouldn't. Anyway, moving on before this turns into a big ethics lecture. It was found at Harbin, northeast China in 1933, but only came to the attention of scientists more recently. That's quite a common theme in archaeology. A lot of stuff that was found in the early days, you know, they didn't have the recording technology or the tracking that we do now. So a lot of stuff that was found in the early days of archaeology was sent off to private collections or museums or whatever, and ended up in a basement somewhere to then be rediscovered by modern archaeologists going through all these archives. So things get lost and then refound. So it's like the archaeology of archaeology.
Hey, huh?
Because things are getting found, getting dumped again, and then getting found hundreds of years later. Already. We've got like a recurring pattern here, and it's very annoying. What you have here is a separate branch of humanity that is not on its way to becoming Homo sapiens, us, but represents a long separate lineage which evolved in the region for several 100,000 years and eventually went extinct. To kind of explain that a bit, obviously this is through the doing of humans, but you have different breeds of dog, right? And you can crossbreed pretty much any type of dog if you wanted to, and the result would be a mixed breed dog that is still living and viable, whatever. You're not going to get like a homunculus out of it, it's going to be a dog of some sort. Humans were kind of like that. From what we know, obviously, now we've got this guy, we've got Homo sapiens, which is us, we've got Neanderthals, Homo heidelbergensis, there's even the Hobbit people, the real life Hobbit people. I wrote a whole essay on them if you'd like to hear more about them. I will happily dig out my essay and tell you all about them, because they were real race people who lived on a bunch of islands. And I'm assuming this guy's done the same thing, he's had his own little like breed, basically. Their breed of human has had their own little area. What would be really exciting to see, I don't know if they can maybe tell this from the skull, but if there was any sort of crossbreeding. I don't like to use the word crossbreeding when it comes to humans because that's a bit dodgy, but to follow on the example of the dogs and crossbreeding dogs, there's humans alive today that have Neanderthal DNA, so clearly humans and Neanderthals could produce fertile offspring. It would be interesting to find out if the Dragon Man and his people were also interacting with Neanderthals or early modern humans in the same way, or if maybe they didn't quite cross over. I mean, it says that his whole type went extinct. It's like, is that the case? Just because we've only found his skull? Obviously we can't really tell this for now, but is there markers in the modern DNA genome that could relate back to him and his kind? I don't know. Nobody knows yet. It's way too early to find that out. If it's even possible to find that out, I don't know. And here's an artist's impression of what Dragon Man may have looked like. I don't mind reconstructions like this. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. Because obviously we don't know what he actually definitely looked like for a fact. But one thing that they drilled into me at uni was, or maybe it was just that one lecturer, I don't know, maybe she just wasn't happy with it. But one thing that was like repeated, when you're doing a reconstruction like this, you should probably do it in black and white and do the characters completely bald, because although you have the skull and you can rebuild the facial structure pretty accurately, maybe not exactly, like I said, we'll never know. Unless there's DNA evidence, right, which most of the time there's not. You can't tell what tone someone's skin is, you can't tell the colour of their eyes, you can't tell their hair colour or their hair type, how short or long it was. That's like if I died, touch wood I didn't, and then in 1,000 years time somebody dug me up and gave me, my hair's dyed but it's naturally brown, so say they gave me like really light blonde hair, green eyes and really tan skin, that would not be in my DNA sequence because that's not what I look like. My hair's kind of blonde now, yes, because it's dyed, but you know what I mean. Besides the point, I mean, they could have dyed their hair back in the day for all we know, but they could have had like natural dyes and stuff. Yes, they couldn't go this mad, but they could do something. So we were told just to keep it very simple, but I think maybe for more public publications they like to make it look a bit more human. It's just another ethics thing that was drilled into us. He might not have even had the genetic ability to grow a beard that well, or his hair could have been lighter but then his skin could have been a bit darker and his eyes could have been green. I don't know. You know, you get what I mean. Totally think that these kind of recreations look better. If this was black and white and he was baldy, it wouldn't have the same effect as like, wow, they've completely recreated this man. The researchers say the discovery has the potential to rewrite the story of human evolution. Yes, that's what I'm here for. I love things that just blow theories wide open. Anything that's like, we've thought this for hundreds and hundreds of years, and now this new piece of evidence has just disrupted the entire chain. This is a big thing that will actually make a change, and I'm so here for it, bro. They've assigned the specimen to a new species, Homo longi, from the Chinese word long meaning dragon. Okay, that's pretty cool. We found our long lost sister lineage. They say lineage a lot in this article, don't they? I feel like I've said lineage a lot in this video. Shout out to lineage. Let me come back to this because this photo is really sending me. Oh, that's the Dragon Man. Cool, I think that's us. Ancient human evolved into early modern human Dragon Man. Okay, so it's significantly bigger. You can see the prominent brow ridges, which are very much a Neanderthal thing. This could be a Neanderthal. They haven't actually explained what these two are. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I don't know the exact differences between the skulls, but this one looks like the most modern human. Skull size doesn't necessarily equate to brain power. I mean, then you're getting into like phrenology, pseudoscience stuff, which is not the case. Just because you have a big brain doesn't mean you're smarter. It's the wrinkles. If you have a smooth brain, then you're dumb. So yeah, he was clearly a big-headed boy. I mean, it could have been a female. I mean, there's no other parts of the body to compare it against, per the birdie, and no other skull to compare it against, so they've not got like a male skull and a female skull. Sometimes there are slight differences in terms of size and like jaw structure, that kind of thing, but we don't have his jaw for a start, and we don't have an opposite sex skull to compare it against, so this could actually be a lady, and we might be completely misgendering her. Apologies if we are, hen. The scientists believe the Dragon Man was powerfully built and rugged, but little is known about how he lived because his skull was removed from the site in which it was found. This means there's currently no archaeological context such as stone tools or other elements of culture. Yes, I knew they were going to say that. With any archaeological find, as soon as you breach the soil and you're like, oh, there's a skull here, you have to take photos, you have to take drawings, you have to take levels, you have to get coordinates, write down the number of the stratigraphic soil level it was found in. There is so much recording that goes on nowadays. Back in 1933, absolutely nowhere near as thorough recording, which is why I'm not surprised this guy went missing for so long. And obviously with all that level of recording, it's also like same level, we found this many flint tools, we found this bit pottery, we found this, that, the other. But obviously he's been completely removed from the context and separated from all these other items, so we can't tell anything about this skull at the moment.
I'm not being funny, Stacey, but you want to get a life. What you said just now was really boring.
The skull was reportedly discovered in 1933 by a construction worker in Heilongjiang. I'm so sorry if I'm not pronouncing these things right. Province was translated, means Black Dragon River. That's where we got the name. Okay. That's pretty cool. The city was under Japanese occupation at the time. Suspecting its cultural value, the Chinese worker smuggled it home to keep it out of the hands of the occupiers. Really kind of wish the guy recorded his context. See, so that kind of throws what I said before about archaeologists and their lack of recording out the window, because it wasn't even found by an archaeologist. How many times have the best archaeological finds not been from archaeologists? Too many. Absolutely too many. But I mean, if that guy didn't do that, we probably wouldn't have this skull today. Especially if it was on a construction site. Chances are it would have just got completely bulldozed. But at least it has a backstory. And from that, that's really good because we know the area in which it was found, right? Yes, it's been a long time, but now if this was given high priority, perhaps archaeologists would be allowed into the area to try and find some stuff that the guy had with him. Maybe it was a full, like, burial chamber, maybe it was just he got shot in the street and, you know, was left there to die. We don't know that because we only have the skull. Even going back to the area, even if it has been constructed over, you can still do like geophysical survey. You don't have to actually break ground to try and find things nowadays. So there could be some evidence still left there. There is an origin story for the skull, so it can be traced back to at least 1933, and from there archaeologists can try and piece together the rest of his stuff and try and find out a bit more about him. I hope. That'd be a very fun dig to be on if they like did do a proper dig in the area. I don't know what the area is like now, obviously. Never heard of it before, just reading about it now. But if they were able to get into the area and actually have another wee nose about, that'd be very interesting. Anyway, let's move on. Dragon Man joins a number of early human remains uncovered in China that have proven difficult to categorise. There's been a fierce debate about whether these remains represent primitive examples of Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, or the Denisovans, or something else entirely. This makes me so happy. The idea that it could be something that's completely mucks up our entire understanding of evolution. Hopefully they do a bit more digging and they're like, actually, this is an entirely new species entirely. It's not related to any of us. They just existed in the northeast of China. A whole different group of people. That would be so cool. I've never even heard of the Denisovans. The Denisovans are a fascinating mystery population from the past. And because the jawbone from Tibet and Dragon Man look like each other, we might actually have the first face of the Denisovan. That's all well and good, but also don't be forcing that onto his face just because you think it's a match. Like, don't force the two puzzle pieces together when really they're from two completely different puzzles. Because if there's one mystery population, there could easily be another. Like, there's so many thousands of years of human existence that we have no idea about. So when it comes to things like this, it's another example of, I mean, obviously this woman's just said they could be related, which is great, they might be, but also shoehorning fact to try and fit into a narrative you've already created is another big flaw of archaeologists in the past. I'm sorry to say it. Just because you stick to this theory and you're like, well, if this little part of the story explodes, then this little part also doesn't work, and then that means the overall idea of our past isn't correct. And yes, that is scary, but isn't it also really cool to think that we can realign it and learn about it more? Am I crazy? Hello, that sounds really interesting to me. And a group that recently published details from remains of Israel belonging to a possible precursor species to Neanderthals. Let me know if you want to hear about that, because I will read that so hard. That sounds so fun, my guy. The results will spark a lot of debate, and I'm quite sure that a lot of people will disagree with us. But that is science, and it is because we disagree that science progresses. What a great closing statement. Yes, I agree with that. When it comes to archaeology, you can't really confirm or deny things until you've fully published your report. Yes, you can be like, oh, we found something really exciting, and get the buzz going about it, for example, like this. But then it's like, oh, well, you have to wait till our full report comes out to actually find out about it. Hopefully somebody's working on that right now, because once the full results are published and they've had like full analysis and DNA, if there's any DNA that can be extracted, possibly looking at the site of, what was it called, Black Dragon River, maybe try and have an excavation or see if there's anything left from before it was constructed over. Probably a hard one to do, but that's just really exciting, and I'm actually really chuffed with this. I'm really excited about this. I love really pushing the boat out when it comes to archaeology. Like when someone tells me this plus this equals this, I'm like, well, what if it doesn't though? What if there is something else that fits in that space that changes the whole direction of how we think about these things? Switch back, there we go. No, I've very much enjoyed reading that. I'm very, very excited about that one. But it's good to see something new coming out in archaeology, because obviously it is a discipline where you're going to find all the stuff that there is to find for the moment, which is a harsh truth. Eventually we're going to have dug everything up, but for now, having something that is such a big buzz, like this is a big thing, right?
I'm kind of a big deal.
If we've thought about human evolution that you're taught in primary school, the basics of at least, too long didn't read of evolution, we have changed over time. The idea that there's something that can come in and be like, oh hey, you forgot about me, I should be at this point in the lineage. We think evolution is just like that, right? And we're up here because we're the smart ones with a big brain. Oh, we're wrinkle brain, haha, we're the smart ones. When really it could be like, you know? Oh, it just gets me excited, and it gets me theorising, and it gets me like projecting all these crazy ideas. But yeah, I hope you really enjoyed that, because I certainly did. Thank you so much for watching and joining me on my little chilled out sore back day. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Are you excited for the big dragon man reveal? If he is some new species that blows the whole thing out of the water, if he is maybe just a slightly differently developed human. There's so many possibilities. What's your theory? Tell me what you think it is. But other than that, thank you very much for watching and joining me today. If you've managed to make it all the way to the end of this video, don't forget to subscribe. There are links in the box below to all of my social media, to the subscribe button, Discord, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter. Thinking about deleting Twitter though, because I've really had enough of it. Also, I'll put the link to this exact article in it if you would like to go read it for yourself again, or if you would like to click on any of the hyperlinks involved to take you to the other publications and such, or if you saw an ad down the side that you liked the look of, sorry, didn't really know how to cut them out. I should really get my money's worth out of the hat, and I should have been sat with this on the whole time, but also I look like a bell shaft. Perhaps in the next archaeology video, but for now, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you all next Tuesday. Bye! Oh, my back.